What are the 3 ways to price your home when selling? We'll cover that today on Frequently Asked Friday. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're watching this. My name is Elliott over at the Elliott Real Estate team at RE/MAX. Hope you're having a great day. If you would like, subscribe, do all that stuff for us. I appreciate it. So today we're going to be covering the 3 different ways, the 3 different strategies of pricing your home when you are selling. We'll cover the pros and cons of each. But first and foremost, why is pricing important? It's been said that 75% of the marketability of a home comes down to price. If you screw up on price, it could cost you big time. So let's chat through the 3 strategies. Pricing strategy number 1. Pricing your property above market value, okay? AKA the needle in the haystack approach, meaning I'm just gonna price it way up here, higher than I know it should be, hoping that somebody's gonna jump up and give me that or give me something close to it. So what are the pros of that strategy? Pros of that strategy is the reality is sometimes that does work, right? I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that doesn't work. I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen with clients that I've worked with. I've seen it happen with properties that have been listed on the market. I thought there's no way they can get that price. And sometimes they just do, okay? The other pro to that strategy potentially is that you could leave yourself room for negotiation. So if we're in a market where a lot of negotiation is happening, it might be strategic to price the property above where it should be, just so that the buyer can negotiate with you, feel like they won something, and you can still get the price that you were ultimately hoping to get, okay? Here's the cons of that strategy though, and what to consider. The visibility of your property will suffer. And the reason being is we've got to understand how most people search for real estate in today's day and age. They are searching on email alerts that are being sent to them by websites, and they are setting up their searches based on price brackets that they are searching in. So most people are searching in anywhere from a $50,000 to $100,000 spread, meaning I'm looking for homes from $300,000 to $400,000 or $300,000 to $350,000. If you are truly a $350,000 home, but you're pricing yourself at $375,000, $400,000, realize that buyer could potentially never even see your property because they're not spending all day scouring the internet. They're just getting the alerts for properties that match your criteria. So something to consider there. Realize that buyers and agents, if they do see your property and it's overpriced, they could write you off as an unrealistic seller and therefore avoid your property because they either don't want to get into negotiation, right? Or they just realize, hey, that's not even an opportunity worth pursuing, and therefore we're just gonna write that property off. And realize this is the case. I have a lot of homeowners, a lot of sellers that say, hey, well, they can always make me an offer. And hey, realize in today's day and age, most consumers don't like to haggle. It's the reason CarMax has had so much success. It's the reason Apple and their pricing strategies has had so much success. Most people don't want to do the dance. You might be somebody that just loves to do the dance. I personally kind of like to do the dance in negotiation, but I've learned that most consumers don't really like that. It's not something they're accustomed to in today's marketplace. It's not something they're used to, and it's something they view as painful. So if they view buying your property as a painful experience, they're inclined to avoid that experience. In this market that we're in right now, in March of 2022, most properties are getting bid up above asking price. So realize that if you're priced way above where you should be or way above market value, those buyers might assume that it's going to get bid up even higher, and they're not going to want to participate because they're going to say, hey, we can't go $50,000 over where it is already, and therefore we're just going to avoid the opportunity, and once again, avoid your property. Realize that if you're not successful, your property is going to sit on the market. This is probably the worst thing that can happen if you overprice your home, is that the property sits and time on the market is your worst enemy when you hit the market, because the longer your property sits, the more people assume there's something that's wrong with it, the more room they assume there is for negotiation because they know they're the only interested buyer that you're talking to, versus if you sell your property quickly, folks most times realize there's probably not much room for negotiation. Last but not least, on the con of pricing your home above market value, is you're going to have to endure more showings most times. So meaning you're going to have more people walk through the front door, see your property. You're going to have to keep it on the market longer. Everybody knows the worst part of selling your house is having your home on the market, having to endure showings, having to have everything be perfect in your house for an extended period of time. That process is not fun. Pricing strategy number 2, pricing your property at fair market value, okay? So here's the pros of that strategy. You're gonna get great visibility in the market that we're in right now, which is very much a seller's market. You're gonna get extreme visibility, okay? But in most markets, if your home is priced at fair market value, the buyers that are in the marketplace are gonna see your property. You're gonna be viewed as a reasonable seller. We talked about, in the last strategy, kind of the cons of being viewed as unreasonable. If you're viewed as reasonable, people are like, all right, this is not gonna be a terrible experience if I try to pursue this property. In this market, buyers are most likely going to push your property up into a bidding war. So we're in a market right now, extreme seller's market, where if you're priced right, the market is more than likely going to carry you up and above what your asking price is. And then last but not least, your time on the market will be shorter. You'll have to endure less showings. At the time of this recording, most of our clients, we are starting showings on Friday. We're cutting them off Sunday night. We're reviewing offers on Monday, and their home was only on the market for 3 days. And a lot of times they went out of town for the weekend anyway, so they didn't really have to go through the pain of many showings, okay? So those are all the pros of that strategy. There are some cons though. Obviously you're potentially leaving money on the table as if you priced it way up high and somebody actually gave you that or something close to that. So you are potentially leaving some money on the table. And you could potentially not be leaving any room for negotiation, but at least in the market we're in right now, more than likely negotiation is not going to be necessary because your home is going to sell quickly. It's going to sell for a good price. And in most markets, if you're priced at fair market value, you're not going to have to go through an extensive, grueling negotiation. So that is pricing at a fair market value. Last but not least, and this strategy, it's funny, the savviest of sellers will use this strategy. You can see auctioneers use this strategy, is pricing your property below market value. So let's go through the pros and cons. Pros, you're gonna get maximum visibility. I promise you, if your home is underpriced or priced below market value, everybody that's looking anywhere close to that price point, that area is going to see that. They're gonna recognize it as a steal, okay? You're gonna be viewed as a steal, which once again is just gonna get a fervor pitch going around your property. It's gonna get you a lot of showings because buyers are gonna view that as a great opportunity to get into a property less than market value. And once you can get people to your property, if your property is staged appropriately, if it shows well, you're gonna get the maximum number of people that get emotionally attached to your property and are willing to write you an illogical, unlogical, whatever that word is, emotional offer. And usually emotional offers are crazy offers, crazy good offers on your property. We already talked about it, but the auction effect tends to take over where people are then not necessarily negotiating with you, but they're just making sure that they get their get your property and bidding against other potential buyers, especially at the market that we're in right now, and also realize that property is going to sell very quickly, so you're going to have to endure less showings because it's going to sell quickly. Cons of that strategy. Now here is the kicker of this strategy. If you fail to hit your reserve price, or if you fail to get up to fair market value or the number that you were hoping for, you could leave yourself in a precarious spot, because once you price your property, the old rule of thumb is you can always go down, but you can't always go up. It can be, I will say that you can go up, but it is a very hard thing to do if you don't have success underpricing your property and having people bid it up. That could be a very tough spot to come back from. So we generally reserve this strategy only if our sellers are comfortable with it and we know that we're going to get ourselves into a multiple offer situation. The other con of this strategy, most people simply don't have the stomach for it. It can be a very nerve-wracking thing to do, to underprice your, in most cases, most valuable asset, hoping that people are going to price it up. So it is a tough one, tough pill to swallow. So that was the 3 strategies. And I will tell you, the irony of this is that the sellers that price their homes at or below fair market value typically walk away with more money than the folks that price it above market value. Somewhat counterintuitive, but it's usually how that plays out. So hope you found this valuable. If you have any questions, concerns that I didn't address, shoot me a DM, reply, comment below, wherever. Thanks for tuning in. Look forward to seeing you next week.